Amber Hayes ran a $200 million cosmetics empire, but she could not buy a single honest man. 9 blind dates. 9 men who calculated her net worth before asking her name. So she did something desperate. She became poor. Minimum wage job. Fake name. Cheap clothes. The 10th date arrived late, wiping grease off his hands. "Sorry," he said. "Had to drop my daughter at tutoring. I'm a single dad." Amber froze. Out of 9 wealthy men, why was he, the poorest one, the only man who said yes? 3 years ago, Amber Hayes buried her father and inherited an empire she never asked for. Hayes' beauty had made the family name synonymous with luxury cosmetics across North America. 200 million in assets, 1,500 employees, a glass tower in downtown with her name engraved in the lobby. She was 32 and completely alone. Her father used to tell her that success meant nothing without someone to share it with. He died believing she would find that person. Instead, Amber found parasites. Men who smiled too wide. Men who researched her net worth before the appetizers arrived. Men who asked about board positions before asking about her day. The first date had been with a venture capitalist who spent 40 minutes explaining why her company would benefit from his strategic insight. The second was a lawyer who casually mentioned his expertise in prenuptial agreements. The 3rd through 9th were variations of the same theme. Men who saw dollar signs before they saw her. 9 dates. 9 failures. That night, she stood in her penthouse overlooking the city and made a decision that would have horrified her board of directors. She would disappear. Not physically, but financially, socially. She would become invisible in the only way that mattered to men like the ones she had been meeting. She would become poor. 2 days later, Amber signed a lease on a studio apartment in a working-class neighborhood 40 minutes from her office. The building had peeling paint and a broken elevator. Her neighbors worked factory shifts and drove cars held together with rust and determination. Nobody here knew who she was. Nobody cared. She bought clothes from discount stores. Plain jeans, shirts without designer labels, sneakers that cost less than her usual morning coffee. She opened a dating app and created a profile under the name Amy. Occupation? Office worker. Income? $40,000 per year. The lie felt strange on the screen, but necessary. Her assistant Carla noticed the changes immediately. She was 29 and had worked for Amber for 5 years. Loyal, efficient, and possessive in a way that made Amber uncomfortable sometimes. Carla watched her boss with the intensity of someone who had built their entire identity around proximity to power. "You are not actually going through with this," Carla said when Amber explained the plan. She stood in the doorway of Amber's office with her arms crossed and her expression somewhere between concern and disbelief. Amber looked at her assistant with the kind of calm that comes from already making an irreversible decision. "I am," she replied. Carla's mouth opened as if to argue, then closed. She looked at her boss for a long moment, searching for something that might explain this sudden transformation. "You think pretending to be poor will help you find someone genuine?" Carla asked. "I think being honest about my wealth has not worked," Amber said. "So I am trying something different." Carla did not argue after that, but her disapproval hung in the air like smoke. She turned and left the office without another word, and Amber knew that disapproval would only grow deeper. The 10th date was on a Tuesday evening at a cafe that served coffee in mismatched mugs. The place smelled like burned espresso and old wood. Students hunched over laptops in corners. A couple argued quietly near the bathroom. Amber arrived early and chose a table near the window. She wore jeans and a sweater she bought for $20. No makeup except mascara. No jewelry except a watch that actually needed winding. Ethan Cole arrived 10 minutes late. He rushed through the door looking flustered and apologetic. His hands were stained with something dark that might have been grease or oil. He saw Amber and his expression shifted from panic to relief. The transformation was immediate and unguarded. "I am so sorry," Ethan said, sliding into the chair across from her. "I had to take my daughter to her tutoring session. The traffic was worse than I thought." Amber watched him try to wipe his hands on a napkin. His movements were hurried but genuine. There was no calculation in his eyes, no assessment of what she might be worth. "You have a daughter?" Amber asked. The question came out softer than she intended. Ethan gave up on his hands and looked at her with tired brown eyes. They were the eyes of someone who worked too much and slept too little. "Yeah, Lily, she is 7, he said. "I should have mentioned that in my profile. I am a single dad. If that is a problem, I completely understand." For the first time in 9 dates, Amber felt something shift in her chest. It was not the practiced charm she had grown to hate. It was honesty delivered without expectation. A man offering her an exit before she even decided if she wanted one. "It is not a problem," she said. Ethan smiled. It was not the practiced smile of a man trying to impress someone. It was real and slightly embarrassed and completely unprepared for what it did to her. His whole face changed when he smiled. The exhaustion lifted for just a moment, and she saw who he might be if life was a little easier. "How was your day?" he asked. Amber blinked. The question caught her off guard in a way that million-dollar contracts never did. She had spent the afternoon negotiating a distribution deal with a luxury retailer. She had approved 3 new product lines and fired a senior executive for embezzlement. Her day had been long and complicated and full of decisions that affected hundreds of lives. "What?" she said. Ethan leaned forward slightly, his expression open and concerned. "Your day. Was it okay? You look tired." Nobody had asked her that in months, maybe years. The men she met asked about her company's quarterly earnings, about her investment strategy, about whether she planned to go public. They did not ask if she was tired. "It was long," Amber said carefully. "But okay. Have you eaten?" Ethan shook his head. "Not yet. I came straight from work." He glanced at the menu on the table, and Amber saw him calculate prices in his head. The small hesitation before he spoke again told her everything about his financial reality. "I work at a warehouse during the day," he said. "Unloading trucks, moving inventory, that kind of thing. And I drive deliveries at night." Amber felt something tighten in her chest. "2 jobs?" she asked. She knew the answer, but needed to hear him say it. Ethan looked at her again, and there was no shame in his expression. Just honesty. The kind of brutal honesty that comes from accepting your circumstances without pretending they are better than they are. "Yeah, it is what it is," he said. "I know I do not have much to offer. I live in a rental with my daughter. I drive a car that is older than some of my co-workers. If you are looking for someone who can take you to fancy restaurants or buy you nice things, I am probably not that guy." Amber felt something crack inside her chest. The vulnerability in his voice was the exact opposite of the confidence she had endured from wealthy men who assumed she wanted their money. They never questioned what they could offer, because they assumed their wealth was enough. Ethan questioned everything, because he assumed it was not. "What if I am not looking for that?" she said. Ethan studied her face. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The cafe noise faded into background static. Then he said, "Then maybe we should order some coffee and see what happens." They talked for 2 hours. The conversation flowed in a way that felt effortless and rare. Ethan told her about Lily and how she loved science, how she drew pictures of planets and asked questions about black holes that he could not answer, How she checked out library books about space and read them under her covers with a flashlight after bedtime. She wants to visit the Natural History Museum, Ethan said. His voice carried equal parts pride and regret. They have this dinosaur exhibit she has been talking about for months, but the family tickets cost $500 and I am saving up. Amber did the math in her head. $500 was what she spent on lunch without thinking. For Ethan, it was weeks of extra shifts. She told him about her own childhood, about her father taking her to museums every weekend, about standing in front of exhibits and having him explain the science behind everything, about how she used to think she would do the same thing with her own kids someday. She did not tell him about the company, about the penthouse, about the fact that she could buy the entire museum if she wanted to. "Your dad sounds like he was a good man," Ethan said. Amber felt her throat tighten. "He was," she said. "I lost him 3 years ago." Ethan reached across the table and touched her hand briefly. Just a moment of contact that said more than words could. "I am sorry," he said. When they left the cafe, Ethan walked her to her car. It was not her real car. It was a 10-year-old sedan she bought specifically for this new life she was building. The metal was dented on one side, and the paint had faded to a color that might have once been blue. Ethan did not seem to notice or care. "Can I see you again?" he asked. His voice carried the uncertainty of someone who expected rejection, but asked anyway. Amber looked at him, standing under the streetlight with his stained hands and tired eyes, and felt something she had not felt in years. Hope. "Yes," she said. "I would like that." He smiled, and something in his expression made her want to tell him everything. But she did not. She got in the car and drove back to her studio apartment and sat on the edge of the cheap bed and wondered what she had started. The second date was at a park on Saturday afternoon. Ethan brought sandwiches he made himself. They were simple: peanut butter and jelly on white bread, the kind of meal that spoke of limited budgets and practical choices. They sat on a bench and watched people jog past while he talked about Lily again. "Her mother left when she was 2, Ethan said. His voice was quiet and measured, like he was telling a story that had happened to someone else. "Rachel. We met in college. Got married too young. Had Lily even younger." He looked down at the sandwich in his hands. The bread was slightly crushed from being carried in his backpack. "Rachel thought love would be enough," he continued. "But it turns out love does not pay rent or buy groceries or fix broken cars. She met someone at her work, someone who could afford the life she wanted, someone who was not working 2 jobs just to stay above water." Amber felt anger rise in her chest at a woman she had never met. "She does not talk to Lily," Ethan said. His voice carried the kind of pain that comes from watching someone you love hurt someone smaller and more vulnerable. "Not even on birthdays." Amber set her sandwich down. "I am sorry," she said. The words felt inadequate, but she did not know what else to offer. "Do not be. We are better off." Ethan looked at her and his expression was sincere. "My cousin Sarah helps me out a lot. She watches Lily when I am working nights. She convinced me to try dating again. Said Lily needs a mother figure. Said I deserve to be happy." He smiled slightly. "I think she just got tired of me being alone." "Is that why you are here?" Amber asked. The question came out sharper than she intended. "For Lily?" Ethan turned to look at her. His brown eyes were steady and clear. "I am here because when we talked last week, you laughed at something I said, and it was the first time in years I felt like maybe I was not just a paycheck and a parent. Maybe I was still a person." Amber understood exactly what he meant. She had spent 3 years being a CEO and a decision maker, and a name on a building. She had forgotten what it felt like to be just Amber. Just a woman who laughed at bad jokes and wanted someone to ask if she was tired. They finished their sandwiches in comfortable silence. A jogger passed with a dog on a leash. Children played on swings in the distance. The sun filtered through trees and created patterns on the ground. It was ordinary and simple, and Amber could not remember the last time she felt this peaceful. "Tell me about your work," Ethan said. "You said you work in an office?" Amber felt her stomach clench. She had prepared for this question, but it still made her nervous. "Administrative work mostly," she said. "Filing, data entry, nothing exciting." "Do you like it?" he asked. Amber thought about board meetings and product launches and the weight of decisions that affected hundreds of lives. "It pays the bills," she said. It was not exactly a lie. Ethan nodded like he understood. "Yeah, I get that." The third meeting happened the following weekend. Ethan called her on Thursday night and asked if she wanted to meet Lily. His voice was nervous over the phone. "I know it is early," he said, "but Lily has been asking about you. I showed her a photo and she wants to meet the woman I have been talking about." Amber agreed before she could think about what it meant. On Saturday, they went to the same park, and his daughter was waiting on a bench with a backpack covered in dinosaur stickers. Lily was small for 7, with dark hair in 2 braids and her father's brown eyes. She looked at Amber with the cautious curiosity of a child who had learned not to trust easily. "Lily, this is Amy," Ethan said gently. He rested his hand on his daughter's shoulder with the kind of protective touch that spoke of years of being the only parent who stayed. "She is my friend." Lily studied Amber's face for a long moment before speaking. Her scrutiny was intense and unnerving. "Hi," she said finally. Amber knelt down to the girl's level. She ignored the dirt on the ground and the way her jeans would probably stain. "Hi, Lily. Your dad told me you like science." The child's eyes brightened just a little. It was like watching a door crack open. "I do," Lily said carefully. "Me too. Did you know that some dinosaurs had feathers?" Amber asked. Lily's expression shifted from cautious to fascinated in the span of a heartbeat. "Really?" she said. Amber nodded. "Really. They were probably a lot fluffier than the movies show. Scientists found fossils with feather imprints." Lily giggled. It was a small sound, but it made Ethan's entire face soften. They spent the afternoon at the park with Amber telling Lily about different dinosaurs and planets and the kinds of things a 7-year-old finds fascinating. Lily asked questions rapid fire, and Amber answered each one patiently. By the end, Lily was holding Amber's hand and showing her the drawings in her backpack, pictures of planets and rockets and astronauts floating in space. "I want to be a scientist when I grow up," Lily said. Amber squeezed her small hand. "I think you will be a great scientist," she said. When it was time to leave, Lily pulled a folded piece of paper from her backpack. It was a drawing of 3 stick figures holding hands. 1 tall, 1 medium, 1 small. The figures stood under a sun with rays extending in every direction. "This is for you," Lily said, handing it to Amber. Amber took the drawing and felt her throat tighten. She looked at the simple lines and the crayon colors and the careful way Lily had drawn each figure. "Thank you. I love it," she said. Her voice came out rougher than she intended. Lily looked up at her father and then back at Amber. Her small face was serious in the way only children can be when asking important questions. "Can you be my mom?" she asked. The question hung in the air like something physical. Ethan went pale. His hand reached out instinctively to steady himself against the bench. "Lily, that is not," he started, but Amber cut him off gently. She knelt down again and smiled at the girl, even though her vision was blurring with tears she could not let fall. "It is okay," Amber said quickly. She looked into Lily's hopeful eyes and felt her chest constrict. That is a very big question, sweetie. Lily's small hand gripped the drawing tighter. But can you? She asked again. The persistence in her voice carried all the loneliness of a child who had been abandoned once and was brave enough to risk it again. Amber looked at Ethan. His expression was somewhere between mortified and hopeful. She looked back at Lily and made a decision that felt both right and terrifying. How about you keep my phone number? Amber said. If you ever need anything, you can call me. Okay? Lily's face brightened. Okay, she said. Amber pulled out her phone and Lily recited her number slowly while Amber entered it. Then Amber wrote her own number on the back of the drawing and handed it back. Lily folded it carefully and put it in her pocket like it was something precious. When they said goodbye, Ethan walked Amber to her car while Lily waited on the bench, swinging her legs and humming a song Amber did not recognize. I'm so sorry about that, Ethan said. His voice was tight with embarrassment. Amber turned to face him, and the words died in his throat. Do not apologize, she said firmly. She is wonderful. Ethan looked at her like he could not quite believe what he was hearing. So are you, he said quietly. He looked at her like he was trying to memorize her face, like he was afraid this moment might disappear if he blinked. I know I do not have much to offer you, Amy, he continued. But if you are willing to keep seeing me, I promise I will do everything I can to make you happy. Amber wanted to tell him he already did, that his daughter's question had cracked something open inside her that she thought had sealed shut years ago. Instead, she said, Same time next week? Ethan's smile was immediate and genuine. Yeah, next week, he said. They stood there for another moment, neither quite ready to leave. Then Amber got in her car and watched him walk back to Lily in the rearview mirror. The little girl jumped off the bench and grabbed her father's hand, and they walked toward his car together. That weekend, Amber bought 3 tickets to the Natural History Museum. She went to the website and selected the VIP package, $500 for 3 people. She packaged them in an envelope and mailed them to Ethan's address with a note that said his warehouse was running an employee appreciation raffle, and he won. It was a lie wrapped in good intentions, and it made her stomach hurt. But when Saturday came, and the 3 of them stood in front of the dinosaur exhibit, watching Lily's face light up like a star, Amber forgot about the guilt. Lily ran from display to display, asking questions and reading plaques out loud. Her small voice carried through the halls as she pointed at fossilized bones and interactive screens. Look at this one, Lily called. She was standing in front of a massive T-Rex skeleton. It says they could bite with 8,000 pounds of force. Ethan followed behind, looking happier than Amber had ever seen him. The exhaustion that usually lined his face had smoothed away. He looked younger, lighter. At one point, he took Amber's hand. They were standing in front of a Triceratops skeleton while Lily pressed her face against the glass barrier. Thank you, he said quietly. His thumb brushed across her knuckles. I have never seen her like this. Amber squeezed his hand. You are welcome, she said. They watched Lily for a moment. The little girl was bouncing on her toes and pointing at different parts of the skeleton. She is going to talk about this for months, Ethan said. His voice was full of love and gratitude. They spent 5 hours at the museum. When they finally left, Lily was exhausted and talking non-stop about everything she learned. Ethan carried her on his shoulders through the parking lot. Lily wrapped her arms around his head and kept talking. And did you see the meteorite? It was from space. Actual space. Amber walked beside them, feeling something she had not felt in years. She felt like she belonged, like this was where she was supposed to be, with this man and this child, and this simple happiness that had nothing to do with money or power or corporate empires. That night, back in her studio apartment, Amber stood in front of the mirror and looked at herself. She was still wearing the discount store clothes, still pretending to be someone she was not, still lying to a man who deserved the truth. The woman in the mirror looked tired, conflicted, caught between two worlds. But if she told him, would he look at her the same way? Would he still hold her hand in the museum? Would Lily still ask her to be her mom? Amber thought about the 9 men before Ethan, the ones who saw her bank account before they saw her face, the ones who calculated her value in dollars and assets. She thought about how Ethan asked if she was tired, how he made sandwiches and shared them on a park bench, how he looked at her like she mattered more than what she could provide, how he apologized for not having much to offer when he was offering her everything that mattered. She decided to keep the secret, just a little longer, just until she was sure he loved her and not the idea of her, just until she knew for certain that what they had was real. Her phone buzzed with a text from Ethan. It was a photo of Lily asleep with the museum map still clutched in her hand. "Best day ever," the text said. "Thank you." Amber stared at the photo until her eyes burned. She looked at this little girl who had drawn 3 stick figures holding hands, this child who had asked if she could be her mom, this family that had no idea who she really was. Then she typed back, "Same." The word felt like both a truth and a lie. It had been the best day, but it was built on a foundation that would eventually crack. She was falling in love with a man who thought she was poor, and she had no idea how to tell him the truth without losing him. Amber set her phone down and walked to the window. The studio apartment looked out over a parking lot and a convenience store with a flickering neon sign. This was not her world, but for the first time in 3 years, she felt like she had found something worth more than all the glass towers and luxury penthouses money could buy. 1 month passed like water through fingers. Amber saw Ethan every weekend. Sometimes just the 2 of them for coffee or walks through neighborhoods where nobody recognized her face. More often with Lily, who had attached herself to Amber with the fierce loyalty of a child starving for maternal attention. They cooked dinner in Ethan's small rental kitchen, Lily standing on a stool to help stir pasta sauce. They watched animated movies on a couch that sagged in the middle, Lily falling asleep between them by the 3rd act. Amber learned that Lily hated broccoli, but would eat it if you called it tiny trees. That Ethan sang off-key in the shower, that both of them laughed at her terrible cooking and ate it anyway. She also learned how much it cost Ethan to let her into this life. He worked the warehouse shift from 6 in the morning until 3 in the afternoon. His job involved heavy lifting and constant movement. He came home with sore muscles and calloused hands. Then he picked up Lily from Sarah's house and spent 2 hours helping with homework and making dinner. At 7, he left for delivery routes that lasted until midnight. He drove packages across the city in his aging car. Sometimes the routes took him to wealthy neighborhoods with houses that cost more than he would make in a lifetime. He never complained, just came home and slept 5 hours and started again. Amber watched him grow thinner, watched exhaustion settle into his shoulders like something permanent. She wanted to help, wanted to write a check that would solve everything. But she could not do that without explaining where an office worker making $40,000 per year got that kind of money. So she did small things instead. She bought groceries and pretended they were on sale. She slipped $20 bills into Lily's backpack for school supplies and told Ethan she found them in the parking lot. When his car broke down, she paid for the repairs and claimed her brother was a mechanic who owed her a favor. Every lie made the next one easier and harder at the same time. Easier because she got better at them. Harder because each one built another layer between who she was and who Ethan thought she was. The 4th week ended with Ethan asking her to meet him at the park without Lily, just the two of them. Amber arrived to find him sitting on the same bench where they had eaten sandwiches a month ago. He looked nervous. His hands were clasped together, and his leg bounced with restless energy. "Is everything okay?" Amber asked, sitting beside him. Ethan was quiet for a long moment. He watched a jogger pass, watched a mother push a stroller, watched everything except Amber. When he finally spoke, his voice was careful. "I need to tell you something," he said. Amber's stomach dropped. She wondered if he had found out, if someone had recognized her, if the lies were finally catching up. "Okay," she said. "I like you, Amy. A lot." Ethan turned to face her, and his expression was raw. "Lily likes you too. She talks about you constantly. She draws pictures of us. She asks when you are coming over. You are already part of our lives." He took a breath. "But I have been thinking about what I can actually offer you, and the answer is not much." "Ethan," Amber started, but he held up a hand. "Let me finish," he said gently. "I work 2 jobs and still barely make rent. I drive a car that might not pass inspection next month. I have a kid who deserves better than hand-me-down clothes and free lunch at school. And I am asking you to be part of this. To choose this life. To choose me." He looked down at his hands. They were rough from warehouse work and scarred from a dozen small injuries. "I know you deserve someone who can take you to nice restaurants. Someone who does not have to check his bank account before buying coffee. Someone who can give you the life you should have." Ethan's voice cracked slightly. "But I cannot stop wanting you to stay anyway." Amber felt something break open in her chest. She reached for his hand and held it between both of hers. His skin was warm and calloused and real. "What if I do not want nice restaurants?" she said quietly. "What if I want this? You and Lily and terrible animated movies on a saggy couch?" Ethan looked at her like he was trying to find the lie, like he could not quite believe what he was hearing. "You mean that?" he asked. Amber nodded. She meant it more than she had meant anything in years. "I mean that," she said. He pulled her close and kissed her forehead. It was gentle and desperate and full of a hope that made Amber want to confess everything. She wanted to tell him about Hayes' beauty and the penthouse and the $200 million. She wanted to explain why she lied and how terrified she was of losing him. But she did not. She just held him and thought about how much easier it would be if she really was Amy. If there was no company to run, no board to manage, no empire to maintain. If she was just a woman who worked in an office and fell in love with a warehouse worker and his daughter. They sat on the bench for a long time. The sun moved across the sky. The park filled with people and then emptied again. Neither of them wanted to move. Neither wanted to break the moment. "I should get back to Lily," Ethan finally said. "Sarah can only watch her until 6. Amber nodded. "I know," she said. They stood up, and Ethan kept her hand in his as they walked to the parking lot. "Come over for dinner tomorrow," he asked. "Lily wants to show you her science project." Amber smiled. "What is it about?" she asked. Ethan laughed. "Black holes. She built a model out of cardboard and painted it black. I have no idea if it is accurate, but she is very proud of it." "I would love to see it," Amber said. She meant it. She wanted to see Lily's cardboard black hole and eat dinner in the small kitchen and sit on the saggy couch. She wanted to be part of this life that had nothing to do with quarterly earnings or board meetings. The next Friday afternoon, everything changed. Amber was having coffee with Ethan when her phone rang. She glanced at the screen and saw Carla's name. She let it go to voicemail. 30 seconds later, it rang again. Then again. "You should get that," Ethan said. He looked concerned. "Might be important?" Amber excused herself and walked outside the cafe. She answered on the fourth call. "What?" she said, trying to keep her voice down. Carla's voice was tight with panic. "Where are you? The Singapore distributor is threatening to cancel the contract. They want to talk to you directly. The board is convening an emergency meeting in 20 minutes. Amber closed her eyes. "I cannot," she started. "This is a $40 million deal." Carla interrupted. "You have to be here." $40 million. 2,000 jobs, 3 years of negotiations. Amber looked through the cafe window at Ethan sitting at their table, waiting for her to come back. "I will be there in 15 minutes," she said. She hung up and went back inside. Ethan stood up when he saw her face. "What happened? Are you okay?" he asked. Amber grabbed her bag. "I am so sorry. There is an emergency at work. I have to go." "What kind of emergency?" Ethan asked. He looked genuinely worried. Amber was already moving toward the door. "Just a crisis. I will explain later. I have to go." She left before he could argue, before he could ask more questions, before the lies got any harder. The drive to Hayes Tower took 12 minutes. Amber parked in the underground garage and took the executive elevator to the 32nd floor. Carla was waiting outside the conference room with a tablet and 3 folders. "They're inside," Carla said. "I sent you the briefing." Amber took the tablet and walked into the room.